Hey everybody, welcome to the webcast this morning. Today, Tara and I are going to be talking about setting up a deploy and inventory from scratch.
And connect.
To bootstrap. PDQ Connect. And as an added little kicker, everything that we're going to show today in deploy and inventory, you can do in the free version. So if you are brand new to PDQ and you are trying to decide between deploy and inventory and connect, or you're going to do something with both, let's show you a way to get Connect Agent on all of your machines very quickly without having to actually pay for both.
And I'm just
like free stuff. Let's give away some free stuff.
I'm going to say this in the beginning because you talk really fast and you're way too smart for me. We're going to start a new thing where we're going to include the outline that has a bajillion hyperlinks in there, and Andrew is going to put it in GitHub. So you can just follow along, and there's a solution to show you how to do everything, just in case you need to do it a little bit slower. Okay?
Perfect.
We're going to try new stuff.
Yeah, we're going to do this on like 3x speed.
Yeah, yes, we are.
We're going to try and hit the major components here, like the bare minimum to get you going. But yeah, all those links are helpful. There. So with that, should we dive right in?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to start with inventory because inventory is my favorite. I have a clear favorite.
You do?
Yeah. It has all the brains. It has all the information. The other one's just muscle.
So we were assuming that you can download this on your own. You've already downloaded it.
Yeah, we're assuming you can download it. You can run the executable and click next.
Next your way to victory. Got it?
Yes. So here we are on the welcome screen. This is the first thing you're going to see, and you're going to see a little link here to the Getting Started guide. It's fantastic. I think the link is also in the outline. But let's go next. So the first thing we need to do is give it a license key. We're going to get that right here.
Okay.
And we'll go next. Okay, here's the first decision that you're presented with. And this is what mode to put deploy or inventory in.
What do I want?
There is really two options at first install. It's either local or central server, and there's not a difference between them, except in server mode, you can have a client connect.
Don't I want that?
You want that.
Okay, so pick server.
Yeah, in my opinion, there's not like a huge draw to local mode. I'm sure someone in the chat or in Discord will say, well, for this very specific reason, you want local mode, and I will agree with them.
Tim said server for the win.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Server.
So let's run this in server mode. So,
ports. Do I care about ports, Josh?
You do care about a port here because those clients need to connect back to this server. Now, clients are things that control the server, not where you're installing stuff.
Okay.
By default, we're going to use port 7337. You can change this to whatever you want if you want to go nuts. And we're going to create a firewall exception for you in the Windows firewall just here.
Okay.
The next thing we can do is we can either listen on IP addresses. These fun little question marks give you more information. We're not going to dive into them.
Okay.
Just because that's too much to cover today.
Do I need to check that box? That's important at the top by the ports.
You don't have to.
I don't have to. Okay.
You don't have to. And the reason you don't have to is you can go create that rule yourself, or you can just let us do it for you.
But I want to let you do it for me.
Yes.
I'm going to check it. Okay.
Then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to define our background service user. This background service user is important. This is the thing that's doing all of the background tasks in inventory and all of the background tasks in deploy. When these two products integrate, it's going to use this account to do it. So it needs to be the same in both.
Okay. So tell me about permissions for that. Is this super important that I know before I set it up?
This account needs to be a local administrator on this machine where we're installing inventory.
Okay.
The other thing that this needs is it needs to have read and write access to the repository.
Okay. So that's important to know.
For PDQ Deploy.
Okay.
So keep that in mind.
Okay.
Okay, while inventory's doing its thing in the background, let's go do the exact same thing in PDQ Deploy.
Okay.
Again, we're going to enter this license key. And we're going to have to install this in the same mode. This is important.
Okay, because if I do server on one, I got to do server on the other.
Yes, if you do server and local, then they don't talk to each other and you're not going to have a great time. So again, different port, different client coming in. This one's 6336. All the same things apply here.
So I'm seeing it in the chat, so I'm just going to ask you, Josh, should we do a service account here, the least permissions, all that jazz? Is that best practice here?
Yep.
Okay.
100%.
So think about this before you set it up. Don't rush through it. And then I see a question. I'm just going to ask you now. Can I do this without a license if I want to do the free version?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you can go to pdq.com/downloads, I think is the right URL. You fill out a form and you're going to get the license. You'll get a 14-day trial license and you'll also get the links to download the products.
Okay. So we can do that.
So we're going to say yes to this here and here. And now here we are in PDQ inventory. So we have the bare minimum done as far as getting them installed.
Okay.
So the next thing that we need to cover are the next set of credentials. So
we did background service
we
user.
did background service.
We used a service account. It's a local administrator. We have read-write permissions to the repository.
We do.
What's next?
What's next is a scan and or deploy user. They can be the same. By default, we're going to add that background service as the first one in here, but you can add more. This account for the scan user needs to be a local admin on your target machines. So not just this machine, but also the target machines. This could be the same service account. It could be a different one, depending on your environment.
Do you have a preference?
Your situation is going to dictate.
Okay. But local administrator on the targets. Okay.
Yep. So here we are in inventory. We need to get some data into PDQ inventory. Because right now, we only have one computer. It's a computer, Cocoa Pebbles.
The one we just
installed it.
It adds itself. Okay.
It does. It automatically adds itself to this to be scanned. So let's add some more. My favorite way to do this is by Active Directory sync.
Seems easy.
We have to first turn it on with the auto sync enabled. We have to say how often we want it to do it and the sync mode. Let's talk about these for just a second.
Okay.
So we have 3 different choices. We have an import only, we have a mixed sync, and a full sync. So import only and full sync are the polar opposite ends of the spectrum. Import only means we're going to read it from Active Directory. We're going to import any computer object that we find.
That maybe a change has occurred.
But that's it. We're just going to import. We're not going to delete anything.
I want a full sync, man.
Full sync means if you delete it in Active Directory, we're deleting it here out of PDQ inventory.
Why wouldn't I want that? Don't I always want that?
Maybe you've got some work group computers that aren't domain joined and also domain joined computers. If you do a full sync, every time that the sync happens, your work group computers are going to fall off.
Why would I have work group computers? Like Macs, maybe?
You could add like a custom Mac in here, or maybe you've got like a kiosk machine that's not domain joined, but you still want to be able to scan it. Something like that.
So anyway, I have options.
Yeah, we're going to do a full sync.
Okay, yes. And it's going to sync every hour, right? We can toggle that.
Yep, it is. And then we have to pick the actual OU that we want.
Okay.
We're just going to grab our web VMs just so that we can do a few that it's kind of fast. I'm going to hit sync now just because I want to get these into the console.
Okay.
All right. I just imported all of those machines in that OU. And the first thing that is immediately going to happen to all of those machines is they're going to hit the first scan trigger.
What's that?
So PDQ inventory only has data as accurate as its last scan. So we are going to help you out with these scan profiles. This is what inventory is going to go look for on those machines and return data about them. And by default, the one that runs is the standard scan. And it's going to run when the scan age is 7 days old, right out of the box. So because we just added these machines, they've never been scanned, they satisfy that trigger. You can adjust
that's
this.
too old for me.
That's too old for you.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. I'm a crazy person. I want it like every hour.
I know think that's a little aggressive.
I know what you're going to say.
I think it's a little aggressive. It's a little old for me too. So maybe we do something like 3 days. Okay. So now every 3 days, or when a new computer is added, it's going to hit this standard scan. This standard scan is a compilation of all of these other ones in here. So it's like everything all at once.
Okay.
You can define other ones. Maybe you just want applications a little faster. Like how often is memory changing on a computer? Not very often.
Not very often.
But applications change. So maybe that's the one that you change here. To like every.
I definitely don't scan mine all the time.
No. This is one of those things that it's going to be depending on how many computers you've got in inventory. So since maybe we're on this topic, let's talk about some maybe best practices for performance.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
So let's fire open preferences again.
Okay.
If we pop down here into the first thing in performance, it's how many we can concurrently scan at the same time. That's what the first thing we're going to configure in inventory.
I imagine this is highly dependent on your environment.
Yeah, it depends on this machine that we're running on, right? So I'm running PDQ inventory on this virtual machine, and it's got 4 cores and 16 gigs of RAM. I can probably handle quite a bit. If I'm running inventory on a laptop that I found in the supply closet, I might want to drop this down just a little bit.
Okay, 32 is the default.
32 is a default. It's pretty good. You can go up and down kind of depending on what you're doing. The other consideration here is, what are you also doing in PDQ Deploy, since these things are running on the same system?
Okay.
The other thing that is not turned on by default, speaking of deploy, is all of this deployment history. So by default, every time that you deploy against a machine that is also in PDQ inventory, we're going to log that in the computer object in inventory. So you can go back in time and say, oh, I deployed Chrome in September of 2021 on this machine.
It's not turned on?
It's not turned on.
Why?
It's not, because like it's better to have data than not have it. I don't think that this data, for me, in this situation, is super valuable.
No.
I might want to keep it for 9 days.
Okay. I would not want to keep it. Yeah, I would definitely turn
And
this
here's
on.
the only reason that I choose 9 days is I might do something every week, right? Like maybe I do it every Wednesday. It might take me until that following Friday to see something is broken. So then I have like that extra little bit of like, let me get all of these variables tracked down. So
I can see like maybe the auditors want to see that you've patched something, but not necessarily. Well, okay, maybe I can.
maybe
Okay.
you're using, custom packages to do all kinds of things, and
Yeah,
you want
yeah.
to confirm that it happened.
But not 180 days.
And this is an easier place to track things down on actions that deploy has taken against computers.
yeah.
Because deploy, you don't have that same like per device breakdown. So sometimes you're going to want to keep this
Okay,
data.
but turn this on. Clean your house, man.
Keep a clean house.
Okay, clean it. Got it.
All right. Inventory is set up at a bare minimum right now. So we've got computers in here. We've just scanned them. And
Okay.
now we've got like the basics of performance tuning done.
Okay.
Okay. Time to fire over to deploy. All right. So we have our brains figured out. Now let's come over here to deploy.
Okay.
And let's get this. So same thing here. Options and credentials.
We're going to add them in here now too.
If we added them in inventory, we don't have to add them in deploy.
Oh, because they come in here. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, they don't come in here. They don't. I'll show you a neat trick. When you deploy something, there's this fun checkbox here that's one of my favorite features.
Use the scan.
And you use the inventory scan users when they're available.
Beautiful.
So you only have to really define credentials in inventory and make sure they're assigned to the right computer. And then just tell deploy to, hey, use the credentials
As
that are
long
over
as I
there.
check that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, inventory is the brain, deploy is just the brawn.
Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
So the other things that we need to talk about in PDQ Deploy, first being the repository. The repository is where installers are stored. When you download from the package library, this is where everything's going to go. By default, it's this very long path. And I made a shortcut to it here on the desktop just so that I don't forget it. Repository.
Smart.
Right? You can change this to anywhere you want, so long as that background service user can read and write,
Has
as well
permissions to
as
it.
the deploy and or scan users can read and write to it.
Okay.
It's a UNC path. It can be on DFS. It can be on a file server. It can just be on this machine. So that's the first thing.
Okay.
The second thing here is, again, with performance, how many times can we deploy, or how many things can we deploy to at once? So let's explain this first.
Okay.
So targets are the machines we're deploying to, and then deployments are a collection of targets per package or per schedule. So in our case, out of the box, we can deploy to 8 computers in a deployment at a time. So if I've targeted 16 machines, we'll do 8. As they finish, it'll kind of fall off and do the next ones.
Okay.
But let's say we have multiple deployments happening at the same time. We can do 32 targets in general. So you can have 32 machines, but you have to spread it up amongst, in this case, at least 4 different deployments to fully max it out.
Okay.
This is machine specific. It's network specific. I'd suggest staying at the minimums. If you want to increase it, but also realize what you're asking inventory to do as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
We won't cover the copy mode. There's push-pull. We can look at any of the previous webcasts, or specifically on
this is-
DFS to cover that. But this is bare minimum.
Okay.
All right.
Package library.
In Deploy, the package library. These are all packages that are maintained by PDQ. They're the latest version of, what is this, 100 and some odd, probably more softwares. That all you have to do to be able to use them is double click it. So let's say we use Dropbox. I double click or click this download, it's selected here.
Make it an auto download because Chad makes these for us.
The package librarian.
The package librarian, Chad, our good friend. Okay.
Yeah. Chad, it scours the internet. He keeps these, he tests them religiously. They just work out of the box. So then we can just deploy these things.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's Dropbox. You downloaded Dropbox.
There's Dropbox.
Are we going to do something with it?
We can. We don't have to.
Okay.
I don't think we should deploy Dropbox. Dropbox is boring.
Oh, yeah. We hate Dropbox. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Here we are. We have got inventory set up. We have deploy set up. Now, I promised that we were going to use this now very basic setup we did in 15 minutes to bootstrap PDQ Connect. Should we?
I was just hoping you'd go faster. I'm almost following you.
Well, let's just keep going.
Okay, keep going.
We'll just keep up.
Do it. I'm
All right.
trying. Yeah.
Well, let's
trying.
first identify what machines have Connect and which ones don't.
Yeah, we didn't make a collection yet. Okay.
We didn't.
Let's do it.
So let's come back over here and let's build a collection.
What are we going to call it? Doesn't have Connect.
Without Connect.
It's genius.
Yeah, it's just like it says on the tin.
It is. It really is. Okay. Now,
Okay.
And this is going to be very confusing.
I'm gonna talk through this.
Do it, please. Make it less confusing.
Let's just talk through it in English top down. I want to see all computers where not any application name contains Connect.
Okay, so that is saying any of the applications on not any of the computers have the name Connect in it.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yep.
I find that very confusing, but okay, I think I got it. Okay.
You can remove like this top filter, it's implied. I leave it and I nest them in there for troubleshooting. And then because I talk through it as I build it in English and kind of build these out.
Do you talk to yourself at your desk? I want to imagine that. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, good.
Anytime that I'm doing something with like logic like this, or heaven forbid something in SQL, I am talking out loud as I build it.
I love that so much.
We only have one. So here's our machine, grape nuts. Right? And I'll prove to you, it does not have Connect. All it has, it's a brand new VM with VMware tools. We can also, if we want, should we also show machines that do have it?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't we just duplicate this guy?
Okay, we're going to duplicate the connection or the collection. We're going to make a new one. You're going to change the filter.
Yeah, we're going to change it to
with Connect. Or just machines with. Okay, any application.
I would have called it without Connect.
Ooh, that's brilliant. We should have done it without Connect. We should have.
Totally. Yep. Let's make it more confusing.
So here's just machines with. Maybe we should change it to actually machines with Connect. Same thing. So we've got 7 of them with Connect, and we have 1 of them without. So now we've targeted the machines that we need to deploy to.
Okay.
Should we switch over and build a package?
Yes, because we have to build a package because Connect is specific to your environment. So it doesn't live in the package library.
It doesn't live in the package library. So we're going to assume that everyone's gotten into Connect here, and we've logged in, and we're going to grab our agent installer.
Okay, we're downloading it.
Yep. And we're going to pop this guy into, we're not going to install it. I wanted to click this button. We're going to copy this into our repository. We're going to put it in pdq.com. We're going to try and keep a clean house here.
We like a clean house. I do love to clean things.
Okay, and our Connect installer is there. So we'll bounce back over to PDQ Deploy. We're going to create a new package. Let's call this install PDQ Connect. And we will use an install step. And our install file here is going to be in our repository, our Connect agent. And we're going to do some magic here for you because it's an MSI. We know all of the right parameters automatically, and we can just hit save. That's it.
Beautiful.
Package built. Should we deploy it to our friend Grape Nuts?
Yes.
Okay. Let's choose. We're going to leverage that collection we just built here of computers without. Was it without?
Yes.
Or was it with?
You did without. You changed it to without.
Yep. Without. Machines without connect.
I'm liking the names. Machines that can't connect. Machines not without connect. I'm enjoying all the different names here.
And that's it. We did it.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Just
Prove
that
it.
quick.
Yeah. Prove it.
Yeah, we'll prove it. So while it's deploying, do we have some questions?
I do. As a matter of fact, we have some questions. Hey, y'all, what are the hurdles to building a new inventory and deploy server from scratch if you have an existing licensed server? I think we actually have a blog about moving it from one to another.
We do. We do have a blog for moving one to another, but moving from scratch can get... It's an opportunity to clean house, right? If you've got a deploy and inventory server set up that's been there for years, you probably have a dozen or so collections at the low end that you just don't use anymore. In that case, it's an opportunity to export all of this stuff and re-import it. Let's show inventory here. And let's say that all of these collections are something that you don't need anymore, and there's only 10 that you do. The easiest way to move these is actually a copy paste. If you can remote desktop into the old server
Copy paste them
and to the new server, you're going to be able to copy paste between them. But let's say you can't do that for whatever reason. You can always right click and you can export these guys to XML and then right click, import them back. You can do that with preferences. You can do it with collections. You can do it with tools, all of those things. But the copy paste trick is one of my favorite.
Is that what you would do if you were starting over?
Yeah, that's what I would do, because it just gives you a way to clean house and get rid of all of the years of just testing and kludge.
CM wants to know when they can... Oh, sorry, Gigi.
Can you do a select all and export?
I don't know. Let's find out if we can do a select all and export.
Because that might be another easy way.
You sure can.
Sure can. Sweet.
Cool.
Boom.
I bet a copy paste works too. I just don't have another server to test.
CM wants to know when we can copy paste to Connect. What a great question.
That was a great question.
Well,
I don't know.
we're just going to say, without spoiling some fun surprises, maybe soon. We saw some cool things during PDQ week that might be coming.
We did see some very cool things.
Yeah.
All right. Do we want to take another question, or do we want to go prove it that I got that launched? What do you think?
It looks like it had already happened. We had it open, but yeah, let's hit another question.
let's do a question.
We've got two questions that we can hit. What firewall rules have to be on workstations, considering the fact that they are connecting with always on VPN device tunnel and DNS registering on DCs? Share hi P. And I apologize for just not getting that name right.
That's a brilliant question.
So there's an article linked in the outline that covers all the firewall rules. So you could just click on that. It covers absolutely everything.
It does.
There.
In lieu of the article, long story short, SMB needs to be able to traverse the tunnel. ICMP needs to be able to traverse the tunnel. Then you should be good. And yes, just like Marcel called out, your biggest problem here, it's always going to be DNS. Okay. Deploy says that it installed, but let's say it didn't. This is something I like to show, especially if you're not familiar with deploy. Nothing ever works the first time. Very rarely it works the first time. So when you need to troubleshoot a failed deployment, the first thing you can do is you can click the steps and you can click on this output log. This is where you can get all of the information you might need to troubleshoot your deployment on why it failed. But because we're lucky, everything just worked. So now we can prove it over here in inventory, and we can say, oh, look, there's no computers without Connect. Grape Nuts now says that it has it.
Let's go to Connect. Yes.
Let's prove it here.
There it is. I see it.
And see, here's Grape Nuts. It's new, and it was just added, a minute ago? And here it is. And now we can manage Grape Nuts in either deploy and inventory or Connect.
Surprised it worked. I mean, I'm not surprised. You're you.
I'm a little surprised.
Why?
Nothing ever works the first time. So there we go.
And it happened pretty quickly too.
It's pretty quick.
It
yeah.
is
So
fast.
in a grand total of 20 minutes and some back and forth later, we could have had all those machines into Connect.
Impressive.
We did it.
Hey, what's the reason? I have a question. What's the reason we don't have the Connect installer in the deploy package library?
Because it's unique to your environment. It has to associate with your. So if he can show it, we have different instances. So go up one actually. All these different instances have a different installer.
Yeah.
So I'd have to download a different one for
So
each
here,
instance.
the idea here is to make this easy. That we give you a MSI that is pre-baked with all of the configuration information needed to connect to a specific Connect instance. If not, we could give everyone a generic MSI, but then you have to remember like tokens and keys, and it just makes it a little messier.
We don't want a token.
Yeah,
No.
keep it simple, make it easy. That's fine.
We have a couple additional questions if you'd like to take them.
I'd love to.
Okay, let's do this. What happens if you have another app with Connect in the name? Sincerely, Just Rob.
For the filter.
Ooh, just Rob, that's a great question because that happens frequently. Let's come back in here. And everything in these group filters, like this not any, is evaluated together, right? So if we add another filter here, we could say publisher. Oh, not that one. Let's say some other thing.
So you're adding additional criteria
another-
to exclude it, maybe exclusionary filters.
Yeah, or
Kinda.
inclusionary,
Or
whatever
inclusionary.
way.
Okay.
Like, so maybe the publisher is pdq.com, or maybe it just contains PDQ. Maybe you have something else about this application. You could look for its like path, and you could say like HKLM, software. You could put any other
Something else.
something to narrow this thing down.
Yeah, a qualifier. Or
We're also
disqualifier.
using a comparison of contains, which is kind of messy. You could use an equals, and then it must be exactly this.
Equals never my friend, but okay, I get you.
Equals is your friend.
Equals is your friend.
Josh, if you were to do that, you would want to make it a not all, right?
Yeah.
Not a not any. It's
Yep.
like an or versus an and.
Correct. Yep. So maybe if you can use an equals, then why don't you just come in here and you can copy exactly what you're looking for?
Oh, smart.
Then you don't run the risk of not being able to type
Smart.
like I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Got another
Josh
question?
is the new Lex.
We do have another question for you. This is so far our last question, unless something else comes in. Can you give the pros and cons to repository cleanup? Thanks, Chad B.
Yes, absolutely I can. All right. Let's force something to be stale in the repository. Let's do something like this. I'm going to delete this package we just built. Okay. So now I have a file in the repository, or lots of files in the repository that don't have a package associated with them. So the repository cleanup feature, if I can remember where it's at, is it in here? In this unused files, these are all different installers that we've used on this machine, but aren't associated to a package in deploy right now. So a pro of this is I can come in here and I can just delete them all. A con to this is if I rename a package, if I rename a file, if I've just moved something or accidentally deleted it, and then I delete this, I'm gonna have to go find that and put it right back here again. And you can get yourself into a mess a little bit by using all of these variables in your package. They're very powerful. Like if I wanted to use the variable feature repository and installer file everywhere,
Yeah.
I can get myself into also a mess
By deleting them.
by deleting them. So this will give you a warning. I forget how often it does it. It's on a schedule. It's not one that you can configure, but it'll show up down here in the bottom over here by running deployment. It says, hey, you've got unused files.
So be careful if you use a lot of variables.
Just be careful in general. It's a delete function, so it's one of those, let me think about this for a second.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
We have another question that just came in.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah. Apologize if this has been asked. With PDQ Deploy, is admin dollar share required on endpoints, and are domain creds required, and what rights are needed on that user? Wally.
Wally, It depends, which is the worst answer ever. Domain, maybe. It depends on how you've got configured access to inbound SMB. We can jump here into a pretty advanced feature. If I can remember where it's at. I'll click through everything. Target service. Okay. So this here is where you can, maybe you don't have admin $ enabled on your machines, but you have a different share enabled. You can go change it here, but you have to put what it is on the network. So like obviously admin $ will equate to Windows directory here. So you can go change these to whatever you want. Just know if it's not available on the target and your local path or shared directory is not evaluated correctly, nothing's going to work.
I was going to say, should you? That's my follow-up question.
It might
here.
happen. Maybe you have some security compliance requirements that inbound SMB to default shares must be disabled. You could go on all your machines and you could create a new inbound share that's PDQ specific. You can put it in here and you can say what it evaluates to on the target machine.
Okay.
You can do it,
Okay.
but there has to be at least one that's available for deploying inventory to work.
Can you? Yes. Should you? No.
Yeah, Marcel just nailed it in 5 words what I should have done. Yeah.
All right. We have a couple more questions that have been sneaking in.
Okay.
What are the common fixes and reasons for failed to find host name error? Kevin, uppercase G.
We had that.
I can show that.
We had that a few times in
All
our
right.
web.
So, failed to find host name. Shouldn't put a stuff. This is essentially what is happening in inventory. You put in a computer name, say, hey, look for this.
It's always DNS.
And so inventory says, okay, I'll go look for it. It's going to do a name lookup, and it's going to look to a configured DNS server, and then it's going to return either a valid A or quad A record, or it's not. In the cases that it's not, it's like a non-existent domain, and then this is can't find name. So the problem is this forward lookup. It's faster to troubleshoot this from command prompt or PowerShell or your favorite shell of choice, just making sure that the machine you're on is getting valid DNS responses.
So DNS.
Yeah.
Why don't you just say DNS to every question?
That'd be right probably 80% of the time.
Honestly.
All right. One more question. Let's do it.
Yeah.
When an auto-downloaded deployment gets removed from PDQ based on the keep XX version setting, does the installer file also get deleted? Mike B.
I don't know. Do you know, Tara?
I was reading CM. I mean, what is it? When an auto deployment gets removed from PDQ based on the blah, 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 do the installer files all still get deleted? Oh, I don't know the answer to that.
I think Marcel does.
Marcel, what's the answer?
Okay, Marcel says yes, so yeah, they do.
Okay. I saw in Discord earlier that PDQ should have a Marcel approved stamp. We should.
We should.
Marcel approves. CM, I agree. We need more in the cloud content. Lucky for you, there's some coming.
Yeah, there sure is.
There's some shows on the horizon that are cloud.
Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate it. Hopefully this is helpful for a quick bootstrap to onboard into Connect. And if you've never seen deploy an inventory before and you want a quick, let's get up and running, hopefully this helps. For PDQ, I'm Josh.
I'm Tara.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Congratulations, Mike P. and Just Rob. Y'all just won some PDQ swag. How cool is that? Send me your mailing info to webcast@pdq.com. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week.